Something just dropped, and it could derail Keir Starmer's entire economic agenda. After months of bold promises, media-friendly headlines, and big talk about growth, the Labour government has just been hit with a brutal reality check from one of the most powerful financial institutions on the planet. Behind closed doors, panic is already setting in. The numbers have changed, the narrative is collapsing, and the timing couldn't be worse. Because what's unfolding now isn't just a dip in data, it's a devastating blow to Starmer's credibility, and it's exposing just how fragile his so-called plan for change really is. Let's break down exactly what just happened, because this is big. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Keir Starmer's economic dream just collided with a harsh global reality, and the timing could not be worse. In what is being described as a damning blow to the Labour government, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has just slashed the UK's GDP growth forecast, leaving Starmer and his Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, scrambling to defend their so-called plan for change. Let's get into the facts, because this isn't just a minor downgrade. It's a catastrophic shift that shatters the economic narrative Starmer's been clinging to. The IMF now expects the UK's GDP to grow by just 1.1% in 2025, down sharply from the earlier projection of 1.6%. That's a 0.5-point drop. In economic terms, that's massive, especially when you've staked your entire government on one promise: growth, growth, growth. By 2026, growth is projected to pick up slightly, to 1.4%, but again, that's been revised down from 1.5%. The trend is clear. Labour's growth narrative is collapsing under the weight of global instability and domestic pressure. And the primary reason? The IMF points directly to President Donald Trump's sudden tariff blitz, which has shaken global markets and raised trade uncertainty to levels not seen in decades. According to the IMF's chief economist, we are now witnessing tariff rates at centennial highs. Yes, 100-year levels, and with that comes an economic storm. The IMF's World Economic Outlook says this plainly. The tariffs imposed in early April have triggered what they call unprecedented uncertainty, not just for America, but for every major global economy. The UK, still struggling with post-Brexit trade realignments, is feeling the burn. And here's where things get even worse for Starmer. Despite Reeves trying to spin this as Britain leading the G7, the reality is sobering. Yes, the UK may technically be growing faster than Germany or Italy, but that's like saying you're the least injured in a car crash. Inflation is also on the rise. The IMF now predicts inflation in the UK will be 3.1% this year, 0.7 percentage points higher than what was forecast just a few months ago. That spike is being driven by the usual culprits: rising energy prices, sky-high utility bills, and a consumer base that's tightening its belt under the pressure. So let's recap. Growth is down, inflation is up, tariffs are wreaking havoc, and Labour's economic miracle is starting to look more like a mirage. This couldn't come at a worse time for Keir Starmer. His government has been desperately trying to position itself as the party of economic competence after 14 years of Conservative rule. But this IMF downgrade isn't just a forecast, it's a warning sign. It suggests the very foundation of Labour's plan is crumbling, and external forces, like Trump's America First trade policy, are dictating Britain's economic future more than Starmer ever could. And let's not forget, Starmer was eager to buddy up with Trump earlier this year. In February, he invited Trump to the UK in a diplomatic charm offensive, hoping to secure a post-Brexit trade deal. Now, that very same Trump has slapped the world with tariffs that are directly damaging to Britain's economic outlook. If that's not political irony, I don't know what is. Meanwhile, Chancellor Rachel Reeves is trying to put on a brave face. She's claiming the IMF still recognises Britain's reforms, that the UK is the fastest growing economy in the G7, and that these figures are proof her plan for change is working. But behind the soundbites, reality tells a different story. Growth is slowing, inflation is creeping higher, and Britain remains dangerously exposed to the whims of global powers. And the Labour leadership? They're busy spinning numbers while families across the country are bracing for another year of higher prices and economic anxiety. Let's be clear, this IMF update isn't just an economic adjustment. It's a political gut punch for a prime minister who promised stability, strength, and sustained recovery. Instead, Starmer now finds himself standing on shaky ground with no clear way forward. So the question becomes this: what exactly is Labour's plan now? Because from where we're standing, it's starting to look like the plan for change needs a change of plan. And if this trend continues, Keir Starmer may be staring down not just a crisis in the markets, but a crisis in confidence from the British people. In other news, more than 8.3 million Britons are set to be pulled into higher tax brackets within the next 5 years due to frozen tax thresholds. Analysts are warning this phenomenon, known as fiscal drag, occurs as workers' earnings or inflation increase while tax thresholds remain at the same rate. The Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, forecasts that millions will experience this effect by the 2029-30 financial year. This issue stems from successive governments' decisions to freeze tax thresholds, effectively creating what many describe as a stealth tax on working people. The freeze on tax thresholds thus functions as an invisible tax hike, catching millions of additional taxpayers. The current income tax bands in the UK are structured in 4 tiers. As it stands, the personal allowance applies to income up to £12,570, which is taxed at 0%. Basic rate taxpayers earning between £12,571 and £50,270 pay 20% on that portion of income. Those in the higher rate band, earning between £50,271 and £125,140, face a 40% tax rate. Anyone with income exceeding £125,140 falls into the additional rate category, paying 45% on earnings above this threshold. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has announced plans to end the income tax threshold freeze in the 2028/29 fiscal year. This comes as the OBR projects that real household disposable income per capita will increase by an average of 0.5% annually from 2025 to 2030. In a spring statement, the Chancellor acknowledged that workers were still feeling the pinch amid the cost of living crisis. However, she noted that new projections suggest living standards will rise twice as fast this Parliament compared to last. RHDI measures the purchasing power individuals have from their earnings and savings after accounting for inflation. Despite the projected growth in disposable income, the OBR cautions that there will be significant fluctuations around the 5-year average. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.